Hey there, welcome back to Marketing Matchmaker. If you haven't been listening to my podcast recently, you may have missed the announcement of this new series that I'm doing for this quarter and maybe further on, depending on how this all plays out for everyone. So, I am diving into marketing strategies with entrepreneurs who are struggling with their marketing. And it's really an opportunity for you to hear other people's struggles in marketing and also maybe how we can pivot and how we can correct things and maybe create opportunities for growth in my audience's business and my guest's business. So I'm super excited about this series. Today, I have Michael. Okay, Michael, give me your last name because
Oh, we
that's
should have practiced this
we
before you
should
hit
have
record,
practiced
huh?
that before I hit record.
This is why
Absolutely.
this is why I go by Fritz. It's Fritzius. Fritzius.
Fritz, awesome.
Fritz. Yeah.
Fritz is a multipreneur and has learned how to let life guide him and his family in some very interesting ventures along the way. One of these ventures, and what we're going to be diving into today, is his full service podcasting agency, which, like, what better opportunity to dive into marketing than on a podcast, right?
Yeah.
His agency is designed to help business owners attract their ideal clients and have equally awesome conversations with them. Every day builds more resilience, and Fritz is standing strong in the chaos. I love that kind of bio. And I will also say it doesn't give you nearly enough credit for what you do. So let's
Oh,
start
thank you.
there. Tell me what it is you actually do for people.
So, you know how the phrase people buy from those they know, like, and trust. You've
Mhm.
probably heard that before. What
Few
I do, yeah, at least a couple times, right?
once or twice.
Um, yeah. Well, the building the relationships is what leads to that buying decision. And I help people build relationships really quickly through conversation. I just happen to use a podcast to bring about those conversations. So what we do at Podcastify Me is really tapping into a lot of technology, a lot of psychology, but to get at the root of, to get at the root, I'm still here, of why people want to have a conversation with somebody else. And then we match make and help them get on the right show, talk with the right people at the right time. And I'm gonna have to horse around with my camera here. I don't know why it's all of a sudden, but we'll keep talking. Is it okay if I just horse around with the camera, keep talking? I'm here. I can
Absolutely.
see you. Okay, good.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that. Okay, so you're helping other business owners build relationships through podcasting. So is your business, so when you talk about a full service podcasting agency, what does that mean? Like, what is it that you logistically do for people?
Well, it's everything except the actual conversation. So,
Okay.
yeah, most people, when they think podcast, they think, oh, yeah, it's two people. It's Jen and Fritz getting together and talking. And it's like,
Right.
that's part of it. How did we meet? How did we decide, hey, I want to be on your podcast? How did I get scheduled? What do you do with the recording? How do you put intros, outros, mid rolls, commercials? How do you get it disseminated to social media, mailing list, website, all that stuff? Where do you put the thing when you're done? How do you nurture the connections you've made on the podcast? Like, there's so much more to podcasting than just hit the record button and start jabbering. It's like, what's after that? How did you get here? What are we doing? But what we do is we systematize everything, and we set up just a real-time feedback system where anytime a client says, this is what's working well, but this is what's not working well. It's like, well, okay, let's figure out how to solve that problem. Put a work item in there, we'll get cracking. We strategize with people all the time. It's a very organic thing. People change. Podcasts are going to change as a result of that. But yeah, it's everything except, like, I know Chat GPT is a thing, so we can't automate that part yet, but
It's
one
coming.
day
Someday
it's
it might be
coming.
there.
I thought I thought about it. I was sitting at a Breadco the other day and I'm like, what if I could tell Chat GPT, I'm like, can you make up a conversation between two people and talk about whatever? And
I
like,
bet you it could.
I could, but I'm like, this is a rat hole. It's not gonna sound great. I'm just gonna skip it. It was a 5 minute experiment. I'm like, 10 years from now, 10 years from now, yeah,
I
that's
love
so
that.
scary. They're coming to take our jobs.
I look at it from this way. I don't think you will ever replace humans when it comes to this kind of thing because there is something about a human connection when it comes to creating content. ChatGPT or any of the other AI platforms out there are great to give you a starting point to jump off from, but it really is that human kind of like diving in there and making it have feelings, right? Because AI yet does not have feelings, right? They're just regurgitating information. So
Right.
that's a whole other tangent we can go down. So when it comes to marketing your business, what have you been doing to do that? Like what have you been doing to get yourself out there and market and kind of grow leads into your business?
Sure. Well, from the beginning, it was a lot of word of mouth. Like I would go to networking meetings and say, hey, I'm Fritz. I'm the podcast guy. I run a full service podcast agency, and being able to talk with people in a group. Sometimes I'll present on the topic. A lot of times it comes from having one-to-one conversations like
Mm-hmm.
this. But more recently, and I haven't done this just yet, like my first webinar is going to be this coming Wednesday. So I
That's
should probably
exciting.
get some stuff, right? It is. I should probably get it fleshed out before that day, and get it done. No, I'm horsing around with you. It's like,
No,
dude,
I
this
know.
guy
Well, no, my
procrastinates.
thought was
Well,
is
yeah,
how
I
did
mean,
you fill it? Like, do you have people, how are you getting people to sign up for it?
oh, so I've set up a thing on the website at podcastify.me where if you scroll down just a little bit, it's right below the fold. There's a red section and it's like Webinar Wednesday and it says what it's all about. And if you want to join, then drop in your information and they get taken to where they can schedule. I just did that because I didn't want a bunch of bots grabbing spots on my calendar. And usually they stop after they, put in the first message, hey, you want some sexy pictures? Click here. It's like, well, I don't want them getting on my calendar, right? But
I got it.
um, that's the way I fill it. And then I also borrow some tactics from what I do with actual podcasting is, hey, by the way, like I'll have Calendly set up that it sends a message out 72 hours before the event.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, hey, I know we got the event coming up in a few days. I wanted to real quick see if you knew other people that might want to come. And I put templated names in there and stuff like that. And the end goal is I just want them to forward it straight to that person. It's got all the information about what this thing is so that a person that's doing the right.
Okay.
So just to make it super easy to, because if every person that signed up is like, yeah, I know 3 or 4 people, or I can't make it, but I know 2 other people that would love to make it, then it grows like that.
And
So it's
that's
the same kind of thing that we do for podcasting. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a great starting point. But my question is, so a webinar to cold traffic where people don't know you has about a 10 to 20% show up rate. So about 10 to 20% of the people that sign up show up. And then from there, you have about a 1 to 3% conversion rate. So they're going to take the next step of whatever you're doing on the webinar. So
Right.
my question is how many people have you got to sign up for the webinar and how are you getting those initial people to sign up?
Oh, the initial people are ones that I do know.
Okay.
So I do a lot with email automation. Like I have tools that I've written where I'm able to email people, not like blasting out thousands of emails a day, but based on certain criteria, it's like I need to send this person this email, this persona, and then with that person, there's like 17 or 18 or 25 other people that will also fit. So they each get an individual email, which the conversion rate for those is huge.
That's awesome.
Um, they respond because they're like, "Hey, it's from Fritz." Well, it is. I took the time to write something that identified you as a potential person, and I want to send you this email. So a lot of times they'll say, yeah, I want to make it, or I can't make it, and it's okay. I said, just go ahead and register and I'll send you the recording when it's done. But they're in the ecosystem. They're at least expressing interest. So at the start, yeah, it's people that I know. And eventually, by virtue of the fact that, yeah, I'm asking them to send emails out to people that I don't know, but that they know, they're like second degree people for me. They'll show up because A, they've got an interest in learning about podcasting, and B, a person that I know knows them. So that should boost the conversion rate. But so far, I've got 20 people signed up. The first one is going to be 10 max. And then the future ones are set to 100. They're the people that I got this advice from, they're like, turn it all the way up. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So I said, hey, worst case, if my internet punks out, at least Zoom's still going to record. I'll just be talking to myself for a little bit and then I'll still send you the recording.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think technology wise, that's, all well and good. I think it's a great start to, since it's your first webinar, getting a couple of people on, and if we're talking about doing something consistently, right? If you're going to do, like, if it's webinar Wednesday and you're going to do it every Wednesday, or even just one Wednesday a month, right, where you're trying to do a webinar, you're going to burn out your email lists pretty quick, right? Because they're gonna, right now, like, I had you fill out a form before we hopped on a call, and you have about 1,000 people on your email list, which is great to start. That's a fantastic size to start with, because they are people who know, like, and trust you, right? They're already people you bring in, but at some point, it's going to kind of, they're going to stop showing up, right? So we need to think about how we're going to, from there, continue to bring people into that ecosystem. How are you going to market this webinar? So a couple of questions. One, is this webinar, like, is it designed to sell from the stage, right? You're going to sell your high ticket packages through this webinar, or is this more of a training to build that kind of know, like, and trust?
It's not meant to sell the high ticket services. It's meant to get people from being spectators to stepping into the bronze level.
Okay.
So the bronze level for me is, let's set up a strategy session. It's a paid session, but it's a 1 hour session for $250.
Okay.
Not everybody's going to get in and be like, by George, I'm going to start a podcast right now. It's like, that's probably not going to happen. I mean, it'd be cool if it did, but realistically, that's not the goal. I just want to invite the highest number of people into my ecosystem at once. And I'm pretty good at podcasting. I mean, I've recorded more than 400 episodes. I love doing it. And even if somebody never becomes a client, they're sending people my way, or I'm sending people their way. They're part of the network. And I'm in touch with probably 70 to 80% of the people that I've interviewed over the last 3 years. So
Awesome.
that's a pretty cool network. A
Yeah.
big portion of that 1,000 people that I mentioned when I filled out the form, that's a lot of podcast guests in there.
So one of the things, because I know we've talked, and you're not quite ready for ads at this stage, which is cool. However, what we could look at is more like affiliate marketing, right?
Yes.
When we're talking about this kind of thing. So looking at people that have a larger audience than you do, and creating some kind of email marketing campaign for them to send out to their audience, right? So that means obviously creating the email form, just like you were talking about earlier. You're really great at creating emails and inviting people. So creating that, and just finding those people that you can connect with in order to be able to get into their audience. I know we met networking, so I know you have a large network, and all of those people that you've already interviewed also have a large network. Right. I'm sure. It may be time to tap into connecting with them specifically and asking if you can, if you provide them the email, would they be willing to invite their audience? Not to this one, because there's only 10 spots available, but to your next one where you have at least 100 spots available in the webinar itself, seeing how many of them you can will step into that and allow you to tap into their audience.
Beautiful, beautiful. I do have an affiliate program. It's just, I guess I haven't leveraged it because I didn't quite know what to do. Like there's, you know, this as an entrepreneur, sometimes
Yeah.
there's hesitation because it's like, well, I've got a measure of energy and a certain amount of time. And if I spend this time and energy on this and it turns out not to be the right thing, it's like, no time is a waste because at least you learn something. And it's like, well, I'd rather have done the right thing.
Yeah.
And so if I'm looking at this and it's like, well, I've got this affiliate plugin and I've got this and I've got that and I've got that. It's like I've got all these different gewgaws and knobs and buttons. It's like, what do I push? What do I do?
Yeah.
Um, but if the affiliate marketing is a thing, I could leverage the heck out of that.
It
I
is
can
a
get
thing.
affiliates in easy,
Yeah,
easy.
it is a thing. And it's actually a fabulous thing because like when we were talking a little earlier and you were saying, those people know people and you're kind of that secondary know, like, and trust kind of thing because someone that knows, likes, trusts, they like, that's a whole lot of word salad. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so being connected to somebody that somebody else already is interested in and trusts allows you to borrow their trust from their audience. Affiliate marketing can work really well when you're first getting started and you don't have the budget to put into things like paid traffic where it's cold audiences.
Mhm.
So I would suggest sitting down, crafting out a really cool introduction letter that introduces you, hey, Jennifer, I would love for you to send this if you are open to it. I'd love to invite your audience to this webinar that I have. This is all the information about the webinar, what they're going to benefit from the webinar, why they would want to attend the webinar. You're welcome to attend if you'd like. And if anyone through your link signs up for the webinar and moves on, I do have an affiliate commission available, which will incentivize the people. Like if someone has 10,000 people on their email list, and let's say just 1% of them sign up for your webinar and only one of them, it's still, what did it cost them? It didn't cost them a thing to send out that email, and they may make $250 or whatever the commission is. So it's definitely, as long as you set that email in a terms of value to their audience and value to them, they're more likely to step into that. And then you also need to provide the copy to them that says, and here are the emails you can send out. You're welcome to modify them or, adjust them to you. But I wanted to make it easy for you and, kind of provide them with some announcement emails to their list so that they can, join yours.
Nice.
Affiliate marketing can be a really great way to step into tapping into larger cold markets without stepping into like paid traffic.
Okay. I like that. I like free stuff. I like spending money on things, but I also like being really ingenious about the approach. And I know I've probably got a little bit of an edge over some other people that are facing the same thing because I'm a huge automation nerd. Like, I don't know if you know
Yeah.
this about me, but I came out of that space. Like, I used to have a company called Arch DevOps where I would come in and I would put business process automation in place for big
Love that.
organizations.
Love that.
And yeah, and it's like when you leave that sector, it's like, ooh, it's still in my brain. It's not like
Right.
they sucked it out and it's
Your
like, we're
brain
gonna
still
smooth
works
out this
that
part.
way.
Exactly. It's like we're just gonna smooth this part out. It's like if you don't pay your student loan, they just like suck the knowledge out of your head. And it's like, I don't know how to do calculus anymore. Ah! You can't do that. You take it with you. It's in here forever. But when I sit down and I write out tools and scripts and scrapers and things like that, it's like I'm able to do some things that not everybody else can do. And I keep forgetting that. I
Yeah.
keep forgetting that. The things that we think are mundane, other people are like, holy moly, I can't believe you did. What? It's like,
That's the
yeah,
biggest thing I think every business owner and entrepreneur gets to realize. It took me years. The reason it took me so long to launch this podcast in to begin with, because I've been in business for like 18 years now. And
Right.
I didn't launch, this podcast is only 3 years old. It took me that long because I was like, everybody knows this stuff. Like, why don't they know this stuff? And that's exactly it. Not everybody knows what we know.
Yeah.
But I think
They
that's
don't, they
every business
don't,
owner
but they
out there.
don't.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every business owner out there has that feeling. And when they step into what it is that they excel at better than anything else, that's when their business really starts to skyrocket.
Yep.
So yeah, own the process, own helping them set up those processes. I would be very strategic about who you invite this first time around, because if you only have 100 seats in a webinar, we want to see, when you're inviting people that have lists of 5 and 10,000, if you invite too many and they can't join the webinar, then they lose trust in you, right? So,
Right.
so just be very strategic about who you're doing this the first time. And it's something you can do multiple times, right? Like, if you have, I think you said you had 400 podcasts. So if you have, 300 some odd people, pick 5 this first time to do it with, the 5 that you think have the largest email lists, and tap them first. And then you can pick 5 more later, and you can go back to those 5 another time, some other time, but just kind of rotate through, so that you, again, aren't burning out your resources before, you get there, or you get to that point of being able to step into completely cold audiences and run traffic and get ads going and all of that kind of stuff.
Beautiful. You're really getting the brain juice going here. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I've got my Trello board in front of me because I'm banging out action items like 15 minutes, build a campaign, 15 minutes, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, my VA is going to be like, dude, I cannot get all of this crap on your, stop putting things on. Like, I got to get it out, So, but this is really cool. This is really cool. I could execute on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's what we
probably
want.
felt this where, yeah, well, you probably felt this before when somebody tells you what sounds like a complex idea and your brain just goes, by God, that could work. And it just tears it up into small pieces. And it's like, my brain used to not do that. I was just telling somebody yesterday, I said, if you met me 5 years ago, you would have been like, how the heck is this guy going to run a business when he is so process averse? It's ridiculous. Like, I would tell people, I don't need process. I know my way around. Don't tell me how to think. I was more like, I'm going to be a nerd that thinks in the right brain, like unicorn, right? But it's like, when you start thinking in terms of process, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. This makes sense, Jen. I can do this.
You
I can
can.
do this. And then can I tell you when I've done it?
Yes, absolutely. Not only do I want you to tell me when you've done it, I want you to tell me what the success was on the other side of things, because I think this is a fabulous way to really, you've kind of created a bank of affiliate marketers for you already by spending the last couple of years interviewing people and making relationships and connections. And it's a way to really like scale your business in a quick way by just leveraging somebody else's audience.
Right. And I think too, like some of the resistance that I know I've experienced is something like I kind of hear bits and pieces of when I talk with other entrepreneurs. It's like, I can borrow other people's audiences. Like they spent their blood, sweat, and tears building that. And it's like, it's not like you're stealing their customers. Like,
No,
I don't,
you're
yeah,
not
you
going to
don't
go
have
to another podcast agency and ask to use their audience. That's a no.
exactly.
You're
That's right.
simply going to go to other business owners who have a similar audience, who have an audience that would be attracted to doing a podcast or something like that. Oftentimes we call them power partners. Like when we're out networking, we call them power partners. They're the people who are in front of our audience more often, but they don't do what we do. Sometimes in my space, that can just be other marketers, right? Like I don't do organic social media. I do paid traffic. So a lot of my best referral partners are people who do organic social media. Sometimes it's actually other paid ad strategists that will send funnels to me because they don't do funnels. I do both. And I'm fine with doing the funnel and sending them back to their paid ad strategist, right? So it's just knowing your market and knowing who else is in front of your ideal clients.
Cool. Very cool. My brain is full.
I'm glad you're
that bad. I know we've got 45 minutes. But my brain is full. It's full.
That's awesome. I am glad your brain is full and that I've actually kind of filled it up for you. So you can take something actionable away from it. The whole point of this series is that the people I connect with can take something actionable away from the podcast itself. And so, yes, I would love to know your story because I'd love to share it with the audience when you're successful, when this strategy actually plays out, in a positive way. So yes, let me know when it's done and let me know your results.
Awesome. I will do that. I mean, I got to measure stuff. I got to measure it.
Yes. That, my friend, is the biggest thing. Data. For every person out there, please measure your marketing efforts. And I don't care if your marketing efforts are networking and that's all you're doing. Measure which networking groups are productive. Because if you're out there networking with a million networking groups and don't know which ones are productive, you're just wasting your time, right?
Yeah. And
measure
gas.
everything you do. Yes. Or I do most of my networking online. I don't leave the house.
I do too. There's a couple here in St. Louis that I'm like, I'm there. I'm gonna go to this one, but the vast majority is like it's on Zoom. I had a buddy of mine who he is super, super detailed. Like he showed me an Excel spreadsheet. He's like, look at this Excel spreadsheet. He's like, these are the different BNI groups that I go to, and here's how much it costs in gas and mileage and wear and tear. And I'm like, dude,
that's kind of
kudos,
the point.
right?
Yeah.
But
that's kind of the part. That's kind of the things that you're measuring, because it's not just time. It is, if you are going networking outside of the house, it's wear and tear on it's also what time have you lost actually working in your business or connecting with potential clients? There's a whole lot of things. When it comes to your marketing, measuring what you do is the most important thing, because even with this affiliate, you do 5 people, you get results from those 5 people. That tells you whether or not you should go back to them later, or if it's not a great market for you to hit, right? Because if you know your affiliates audience in some respect, which if you've interviewed them on a podcast, I would imagine you do, then you can also start to determine whether or not their ideal client is your ideal client. And so you can start narrowing down from there as well. So yeah, always measure, get the data, look at it, adjust from there.
Beautiful.
So
I'm excited. This is a really good conversation to have at the end of the week. It's been kind of it's been a challenging week. It's been a challenging week. I know I have to front a little bit because I'm on your show, and it's like, well, I'm not going to track mud through your house, but well, you get it. I mean, you're a business owner too. It's like it's a roller coaster, but this is really good. This gives me something to do next week, today too. Yeah.
I'm glad. I am so glad this was helpful for you, Fritz. Okay, so I will let you go off into your merry land of processes and getting all of this set up. And for those of you that are out there in the audience, if you are interested in doing a strategy session on Marketing Matchmaker, head over to yourmarketingmatchmaker.com and fill out the application form there. I would love to have you on, love to interview you, and maybe we can fill your brain like we did Fritz's. In the meantime,
makes it sound painful. I should have only heard a bit. Ew.
Make sure that you are tracking your data, because that's going to be the best way for you to grow your business, increase your revenue, and scale your impact. And I will see you all on the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Marketing Matchmaker podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear your feedback. Please head over to Apple, iTunes, and leave a review so we can hear from you. And if you are a coach, consultant, or online course creator who are looking to grow your business, increase your income, and scale your impact, connect with me at yourmarketingmatchmaker.com. I look forward to hearing from you.